I am so honored to be speaking with one of the world's greatest singers and an American icon, and it's Johnny Mathis. Johnny, good morning.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much. My goodness gracious.
You are one of the world's greatest singers, and with your long career, obviously an American icon, and still performing, which is astounding. How many concerts are you still doing every year?
I don't know how that works because I used to work all the time, all the time, all the time. But now I go out maybe once or twice a month, and I don't know. It seems to work itself out.
Obviously, you can kind of, I mean, you're at a place where you can pick and choose, and some would say, golly, he deserves a rest. But yet the love that you have of this business and of music and of singing, you're never going to stop, are you?
Well, I think that has an awful lot to do with it, yeah. I love singing. Fortunately, at a very early age, my dad, who was my best pal in the world, he had 7 kids, but he really, really had this incredible energy, he and my mom did, and we were able to do whatever we wanted to do. But my dad was a singer, and he knew that at an early age I should take some voice lessons. So from the beginning, that was the idea. Take some lessons and learn how to do it, and maybe you'll want to do it the rest of your life. And he was absolutely right.
Hit after hit after hit. Well, okay, let's go. Take me back a little bit with your dad, Clem, and your mom, Mildred. And I love the story of him buying this upright piano and having to disassemble it to get it into your home before, and then reassemble it so you could start with the piano.
Well, we had a tiny little apartment in San Francisco, and there was a gated entrance, which was rather small, so you couldn't get lots of big stuff in there. And so anything that couldn't get through the gate, you had to disassemble it. That's what Dad did with his piano. But I keep trying to explain to people about my father. He was amazing, absolutely amazing. He loved to sing, and in order to do it with a large family, he did some extraordinary things in my estimation. And God bless him, because he was my best pal, but he was an amazing man, and he sang very, very well. And I was so fortunate to have someone like him being my booster.
Yeah, really. You went on, I mean, in school, you were a successful athlete, too, in track and field.
I was a high jumper and a hurdler, and I hung out with people like Bill Russell, the great basketball player. We used to go to track meets together, and I beat a couple of his high jump records, I think one in Reno or something. But, yeah, along the way, I've had really good instincts about what it was going to take vocally for me to stay in shape. And fortunately, I enjoyed track and field, and I'm sure that helped me a great deal in my singing.
Oh, sure. I mean, the lung control, obviously, would do that a lot. But then your singing, your style was evolving. And how did you, I mean, the Mathis style is so unique. Was that a conscious development, or that just sort of evolved?
Well, I started voice lessons at an early age with a woman, and she said that I had a vocal range and I should try to take advantage of it and use as much of it as I could. As a youngster, I started working with her when I was 13 years old, and that was good because my voice was going to change pretty soon. So we got through that process, and what happened is that because of my lessons, I was able to keep all of the range that I had as a young singer a very long time in my career, and especially the recordings. I listened to some of the stuff I did when I was a young kid. It's amazing how high I could sing. But anyway, yeah, it's been a process over the years, and I cannot really, say it enough times for anybody, especially young kids who want to sing or even make it part of their livelihood. Get somebody to help you vocally, voice lessons, because the voice is very, very very tender, little
Yeah.
thing in your vocal cords, and once you lose it, it's gone. So if you love to sing, get a teacher and make sure that you're doing it properly and have fun with it.
You make it so easy, and when you look back on you, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, some of the great singers of that era, they all studied voice. They all took lessons, and it looks so natural, and yet it's a big job. You have to work at it. You've had hit after hit, and when Columbia signed you way back when, and your first album, A New Sound in Popular Song, came out, 1956. What was the new sound there?
I don't know. That was always something in my mind. I said, well, these people, sit in the desk in these office buildings in New York, in my record company, and they got to make up something about a kid, 19 years old. What are they going to say? A new sound? Of course it's a new sound. Nobody's ever heard him before.
But then all of a sudden they heard Chances Are, and your number one hit, and you just took off like a rocket.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was all by myself. I left San Francisco when I was 19, went to New York, and I met a myriad of people just by walking around Manhattan. I met, for instance, a guy by the name of Bart Howard, who wrote a song called Fly Me to the Moon, and people like that I met along the way, and they gave me a little advice and also let me sing their songs. I sang a lot of Bart Howard songs very early in my career. And then, of course, I matriculated and met a lot of songwriters. Fortunately, I was prepared vocally, thank God, for my voice lessons early on with my voice teacher, a wonderful woman. I can't say too much about her because she taught me as a youngster and free of charge. So what I did for her to pay for the lessons is I did errands for her, and I cleaned her apartment.
Wow.
And I sat in the studio and listened to her give lessons to her paying students. And I said, oh, yeah, I know how to do that. Okay, no, she's not doing that right. Okay. No. And that really helped me a great deal. I did my homework in the corner by listening to the other students and eventually learned how important it was to take care of your vocal cords.
Yeah. And then It's Not For Me, Misty. Did you get to pick your own music, or did someone pick it for you?
They gave me a big stack of music. That was as tall as I was, and they said we picked 4 songs out of there. And I went through it. It took me hours and hours and hours, and I was in this office building in New York, and I found 4 songs that I eventually sang. And the 4 songs were It's Not For Me to Say, Wonderful, Wonderful, When Sunny Gets Blue, a song called Warm and Tender by a new guy that nobody ever heard of called Burt Bacharach.
Oh.
That was how I started.
Wow. Well, you certainly had great instincts, because it went from there. And music, then, through your career, has evolved so much. And was it tough to stay in the business at the time? It went through the Beatles era, and rock and roll changed and different things. Was it tougher for you to stay relevant back then?
Well, I had no parameters. You have to understand, I was all by myself. Columbia Records said, what do you want to sing? And I said, I don't know. I'll sing something. And what I ended up doing is they gave me music, as I mentioned, these 4 songs, Chances Are, 12th of Never, that sort of thing. And then I started to make albums, and the music that I eventually made in my first recordings were some religious songs that I learned from my voice teacher, Elie, the Kol Nidre. I sang songs from the church that I went to, and they said, what do you want to sing, kid? And I said, well, this, that, sure, okay. And it was really, really quite, you throw something up in the air and whatever comes down and lands in your hands, that's what you're going to do. But that's kind of the way it was. Fortunately, I loved singing and I was able to sing whatever they gave me. But there's no guarantees. I was a kid, and I was very, very lucky that I started singing very early because I had no boundaries. I said, I'll sing anything. Doesn't matter.
Put it in front of me, and I'll keep it there. Well,
Yeah.
43 singles on the Billboard pop charts. I mean, the list is endless. 34 hits on the Hot 100, 50 adult contemporary, 70 albums on the Billboard 200. Man, it just keeps going. And now, I mean, you're a machine. You have a new one out. Sings the great new American Songbook. Tell me about choosing that and putting that together.
Well, in the beginning, when I started to make albums, the record company wanted me to sing the popular songs of the day. And that is, in fact, what was the basis and fundamental, part of what I did early on. You never stop learning. Even now, as you mentioned, my newest recordings are songs that are popular on the radio today.
Yeah.
But things are a little different. It's kind of hard to hear music the way it was when I was growing up. The radio was always full of music, but nowadays there's so many ways to get it and so many ways not to get music. So it's a little different, but nonetheless, it has to get done. And somehow I end up getting it done.
Yeah, your legion of fans, obviously, is looking for more, because with this one, you've got songs by Adele and Josh Groban and R. Kelly and Leonard Cohen and Babyface Edmonds. Good grief, the new American Songbook sings the great new American Songbook. Will you be doing some of those in your concert coming up here in Grand Rapids?
That's a big project for me. How can I get my new stuff involved in the songs that I sing in these concerts? And that is, in fact, something that 5 minutes before you called, I was working on a little medley of songs from this particular album to sing to my next audiences.
Wednesday, July 18th. You're going to be at DeVos Performance Hall. And obviously, the audience wants to hear all your hits. But you're right, you do have to sing your new stuff, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm working hard at it.
I'm going to call you America's singing golfer, too, because Johnny Mathis, my special guest, is an avid golfer. Still playing? Do you still have your tournament?
I got a game this afternoon with a couple of buddies of mine. Yeah, I love the game. It's wonderful. I used to be pretty good. I'm not so good anymore, but I still have the love for it.
See,
it never leaves.
That's the thing you can play your entire life, the game of golf. And the game of singing. Johnny Mathis still recording and a powerhouse in the music business, and can't wait for your concert Wednesday, July 18 at DeVos Performance Hall. Johnny Mathis, it's been such an honor and pleasure to talk with you, Johnny. Can't wait for your concert.
Hallelujah. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure talking to you.